How's that?
Okay, better.
I had to
Wow.
go through 4 screens to get that to go off.
There we go. Well, that looks all better now. Um,
This is so strange. This is a hell of a day.
it is now. We're not in Mercury retrograde anymore, are we? We came out of that,
Yeah, we came out of that,
but
but
we're still feeling communication glitches.
we're in life retrograde at the moment.
Life. So everything's
Got
going
lipstick all
backward.
over my pink teeth. Okay, it's that kind of day.
You look so beautiful in red. I just have to say that right out loud. Look at you.
Scorpio, 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 Scorpio.
You look lovely.
I'm wearing my flagship tonight, boy. I needed all the spiritual help I could get.
I love it. I love it. Love it. Well, I hope that everybody here and at Facebook land had a wonderful Christmas. And we are looking at the new year coming up. So
Yeah.
here it is, the last new moon of 2024. So not only are we thinking about setting our intentions for the next moon cycle, but being that the new year is right here, we are also thinking of setting our intentions for the entire year. And maybe even longer than that. Depends on
Mm.
where you want to be and what kind of work you want to do.
Yeah, this is the intention of intentions here and the fullness thereof. um,
Absolutely.
I was very unprepared for tonight, only in the sense I have everything, all my notes and everything. But for the last 3 days, as I've mentioned to you, I was, I don't know what to call it. I can't say comatose. I can't say asleep. I was wide awake at the appropriate times, but I was out of it. I was off in, it was the same as if we had done a bird meditation and I was there quantum leaping, quantum jumping, and I was off in the stars somewhere. And I started seeing all kinds of stuff. So I was seeing it whether I was awake or when I was asleep, it was even clearer and so forth and so on. And I just got to the point where I couldn't do anything. I couldn't talk to anybody. I couldn't, I think it's one of the few times we've ever gone 2 days that we didn't speak. And on my part, I intentionally did not get in touch. I didn't think I could talk to anybody. Now, that's very strange. I wasn't upset. I was feeling a little bit low in the sense that I was frustrated because I had so much I wanted to do. But it was a time when the universe, my higher self, and everybody else said, look, this is what you're going to do right now.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. I didn't take time to cook. Everything was ordered in. I just could do nothing but align myself in a certain spiritual way. When it was finished, it was finished. I was fine again. But my
Sounds like
sleep pattern,
self-love to me, Mickey.
yes, the sleep pattern. I mean, I have an erratic pattern anyway, but this is strange.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I
Well,
just went with it.
and that's what we've been telling people all year is to take care of yourself and do what you need to do, whether
Mm,
that to be go out, whether it to be stay in, whether it to be quiet and cocoon yourself, whatever feels right to you is right for you. There is no wrong.
that's it.
Yeah.
And it's
Except
been
ignoring it.
reinforced.
You
It's
know,
been reinforced and
that's
reinforced.
yeah.
Yeah. And then all the tiny little things that I'm used to, where during the day, all kinds of little synchronicities pop in and reinforce whatever thought you're having. And suddenly something will say, yeah, yeah, that's right. That just went up 10 times 10.
Mm-hmm.
So I just stayed in an agreement between me and the other side or whatever. I mean, I can't even say the other side. There was one point where I freaked myself out because I was looking at 3 different alternate dimensions at the same time and just kind of
That's a
realized
lot.
going between them the same way as Bashar would say, it's the same as you're like looking at several channels on different TVs.
Right.
You know,
Yeah. And Greg Braden talked about that. He even wrote a book called, I think it's called Walking Between the Worlds.
Oh, that's what that's about. Okay, I'll
It's
keep the
either
title.
just between worlds or walking between the worlds, but he does not mention more than one.
Ah,
But so
okay.
it's like being able to be in that BERT meditative quantum jumping state and still navigate this 3D world.
Mm-hmm.
And it is starting to happen more and more often, and it's getting easier and easier to look at things. And the more we do our jumps here, the 333, 222, 111, bango, we're there. Like I know I take you through a more of a drawn out process on this, but for me, it's like 333, 222, 111, and I'm there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've just gotten to the point where I went through that, and then I just the other day I was like, okay, we're there.
Yeah. And
You know,
it's true. The more you do it, the faster it goes, and the more you become
you
accustomed to just being there.
you learn to simply like when I want to look, I'm looking over here now on the left of my room. If I want to look on the right toward the kitchen, I don't say, okay, 333, 222, 111, turn toward the kitchen now.
Hmm.
No. You just go, well, that's what I have discovered I can do with my spiritual intention as well. If I
Hmm.
decide I'm going to look at such and such a dimension, I look at it. If I want to, see such and such a part inside, if I want to speak to the higher self, if I want to ask a question of whatever is out there that will answer me, even
Hmm.
above my particular higher self, you can go higher than that, etc., etc. And the only thing holding it up is you didn't ask. There's so many questions now where I say, well, why didn't I know so? Well, why didn't I, well, at 20, at 30, but you didn't ask.
Hmm.
Or you were asking from a platform where you weren't ready. You can't say, I'm going swimming, and you're standing on a mountaintop in a fur coat, you know? And
Yeah.
then when you go to the mountaintop that's covered in snow, you can't stand there in a bikini and say, I'm going to walk through the snow now. I had every open hearted intention of asking the questions about life's mysteries, about the occult, about this and that. I wanted to know all about spirituality, but I wasn't wearing the right drag.
Hmm.
Okay. So the older I've gotten, the more I've improved my drag.
Hmm. Absolutely. And going through these journeys, you become more accustomed to them. Now, Mickey, you learned some of these way back in the 80s, 70s,
70s,
70s. Yeah.
early 70s.
Hmm. So I didn't learn them until the, 2012 maybe-ish, somewhere around there.
Well, my first channeling was 1967
Personal.
in Cuba. Yes.
Oh,
That was the very first time I touched a Ouija board and went very quickly from there into channeling.
wow. 67, huh? Wow. That's amazing.
That is quite amazing. I
It
haven't
is.
said that in decades, so I didn't really think about how long ago that was.
That, yeah, yeah. And
Whoa.
so that's long before you came across the Seth material, because that's when you conversed with Jane and she kind of helped you through that
Yeah.
channeling issue.
Yeah. It wasn't until the 70s, early 70s. Um, let's see.
I didn't
Yes,
realize you were channeling that long.
I got to Cuba in 67 and came to New York in 71. So that's when I got into that whole part of New Age. I hit New York. You can't get into New York and not hear about the Strand and Wisers and blah, 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 blah. Especially in the 70s, it was New Age center
Yeah.
because you had Roth had just come out. You had uh, Shirley MacLaine had written her books, and I saw You Can't Get Them From Here, and the thing about off the mountain and all of that, she was blowing my mind.
Hmm.
And it was after getting into that part that she was bringing up that then I ran into accounts of Ramtha and so forth. And then I had just run into Seth and was blown by all of that when I even heard about Ramtha and so forth. So I knew there were other people
Hmm.
who were doing what these other books that we're talking about, because I was getting into magic through a very strict regimen. I was learning it the old way, taking all the tests and
Hmm.
passing. You have to learn how to do this, and you test it on it, and so it was very, very much a formal education in magic and in astrology. And it was then that I ran into Silvermine and Bert and so
Hmm.
forth. I had already run into Jane because when I got back from Cuba and had experienced all this channeling and everything, I was freaked out. I was early 20s. I was totally freaked out. And to find out someone else was doing it, the first thing I wanted to do was call and say, hey, help me. What do I do? What the hell is this? And that's exactly what I did. So being shocked that I didn't realize how strange it was to be able to pick up the phone and dial her.
And Rob answered the phone and put her on.
So just a minute.
Yeah.
It was years before I found out. You did what?
Hmm. That's amazing. So
She was
you're
very
you're
helpful.
one of only two people I know that actually spoke to her.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Most
Wow.
people I have come across, she had passed already, so they kind of knew Rob,
Ah,
but not actually spoken to her. And then others that
yeah.
I did know have now passed away. So you're in a very small group.
Wow. I spoke to her several times. She was very helpful. And I did not know until years later that she had specifically told her husband not to tell me the official name of what her medical condition was.
Yeah.
Because when we first spoke and I mentioned that I had a certain malady, she never said anything, and I didn't find out for 20 years that the reason was she didn't want me to go look it up and have expectations of what was going to come because we had the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay,
She was a
so
very sweet woman.
I had no idea she was protecting me
Yeah.
from projecting expectations. She wanted me to learn to handle my intentions without you saying, okay, I'm going to think about every negative thing I can think of
Right.
and not realize you're drawing it. So
Right.
I had no idea.
So what she wanted to have happen worked.
Yes, it
Yeah,
did.
I love that. I have a question over here. Carol is asking, what's your opinion regarding learning the old way, necessary, preferred?
That's a very difficult question. It's different for each person to answer. If you programmed a certain thing as your lifetime, then you've already decided which way you're going to go into it. And so the events that unfold, once you say, okay, I'm turning my attention toward the occult, toward understanding hidden knowledge, then the way that that plays out will follow whatever path you set up. Because it came into my life at least 5, 6, 7 times in different ways. Okay. So I went from one awareness to another. I had all kinds of different teachers. I had times when I studied formal magic, I had times when I studied intuitive new age things and meditation and all of that. But and like Silver Mind, that's another version, a very hands-on way to control what you're putting out there and making it happen. But that's what magic is, making something happen. That's all it is. It's can you make something happen that's not already happening right before you right now? Well, I want it to be this. Then do it. Okay. But you learn how to go about making that happen. Some people do it through astrology. Some people do it through tarot. Some people do it through meditation on a mountaintop in Tibet. There are 1,000 routes. There are actually 8 million routes because there are 8 million people. And everyone has already made the agreement of what they want to do and how they want to go about it, because otherwise they wouldn't be here. You can't come here with no agenda. It's not humanly possible.
Carol says, I like that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well, it
Nice.
segues right into what the theme was for me today. And that was, while I was going through all these days and days of intense download or whatever, it was telling me how to go forth from now into being very much more formal about, okay, I'm going to come on out and say, yes, this is what I'm doing and so forth. You know me, I'm very secretive. But I have not told the world. I don't post I don't put the posts for our sessions and stuff. They're not on my regular personal profile, okay? Because over 90% of the people in my life they not only wouldn't be interested, they would have a fit if they saw it. They don't even know me that way. So I don't titillate the negativity that would come. I'm not interested. I don't want to know.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that in mind, the things that I've been learning have come towards saying, okay, now we're going to get serious about hear me, this is what I'm doing, like it or not. Okay, I don't care anymore. So it prepared me for that. Then the very first lesson was about happiness. And it came up to say, because that's the basis of everything. I mean, if you're going to say love, if you're going to say joy, you're going to say happiness, they're all the same thing. So it came up, and the first question was, my level of happiness that I roll on every day, is that a moral obligation? In other words, how much of the happiness I create in my life, in my day, and so forth, among my friends, how much obligation do I have to be a certain way because of what it will do for the others in my life? We are each demonstrating certain things to our family, our friends, our associates, our colleagues. When you are being who you are, then how much of what you're doing is knowingly good for and positive for all the others in your life? How much obligation do you have to demonstrate certain moral things by the way you're living because of what it'll do to those around you? And how much of it is just, well, I got my agenda set up, I'll do what I'm going to do, and you can like it or lump it.
So when I first learned Reiki, my teacher, Judy Snyder, she always said that what is good for you and your soul will always be good for everyone around you. It can't be bad. She always said that if it was good for you, it's good for everyone around you. That doesn't mean that those people are going to see what you're saying. They probably won't.
I don't know how to take that.
Well,
I mean, I can see it on certain levels, certain ways of looking at it, but on certain other levels, there's a certain amount of ego to think that everything you do is going to be good for those around you, because the lesson you're learning at that moment may be a lesson about negativity. If negativity comes to you, there's a reason. It has a purpose, and it's for you to learn something from. I understand that. However, I can't exactly say that I feel I have enough knowledge of what someone else's contract is, or, agenda, soul agenda, that I can be absolutely sure that everything I do is going to contribute positively. Eventually, in a soul sense, everything that ever happens is going to be positive, yes. But that may be from a more and more rarefied height. that you can see the positivity in it. When I'm sitting there and I just slapped you so hard I knocked your teeth out, it does not mean that was good. But now there are things you may learn about you and about me from when it happens. And it's all about how you choose to take it, you see. So I don't know. I'm very mixed about that. I know eventually it will be true
Mhm.
because there isn't anything but good.
And
I
and
mean, there's
I
nothing in the existence except God.
Right. And I think she was coming from the place of if you do things that are good for you, if you take care of yourself and you know, live a
Yeah,
good life, that it is good for everyone around
I
you.
can understand.
And that they learn, it's learn by example. It's like,
Yes.
those people that, talk the talk, but they don't walk it, you know, it's that kind of a thing. And
Well, I know too that it may take decades. It may take a half a century. It may take three more lifetimes before you actually do see whatever it was that was good about what happened in that lifetime at that time. You
mhm.
know, this is part of why we we can learn how to switch to or talk to a different variant or alternative of ourselves to get information, to get help, etc. You know, you can talk to your positive selves, you can talk to your counterparts and say, help me with this, help me with that, and you can expect an answer. I mean, when you're talking to your higher self, because it's higher, it's over several versions of you on your level. You know what I mean? It's higher to several of us. We don't know how many. There are levels of us that are below this one that we're talking from. And there's some below that, you know.
Right. Right.
But to the higher self, it's the higher in every instant. You know, we can't see but so far above us. Um, you know, I'm
That
not
that
experienced. Well,
Well, no, that's true. I mean, when I remember what Seth said, he said there were things that Seth too, which was supposedly above Seth, knew and could articulate
yes,
that Seth didn't even know, and there was more above that as well. So you're basically
yes,
saying that same thing.
yes,
That as we grow spiritually, and like right now we don't remember, well, most of us don't remember what came before or laterally, but once we grow in spiritually, then we become an oversoul of some, but we're
yes,
always going to have an oversoul above wherever we are until you
yes.
get to all that is.
To yourselves, you're all that is. You know, I mean,
Very true.
think how many levels above that we are before a cell is not an organ, and an organ isn't a whole system, and a system isn't a whole human. You know what I mean? So we're
I
talking many,
do.
many
I
levels.
do. And a cell in a liver has no idea what a cell in a kidney is doing, yet they're in the same body of
I bet they
physicality.
communicate, but we don't know how. I
Um,
mean, like the fact that they just found out trees communicate very, very well to each
they
other.
do. Yeah.
Whole network and talk and
And that
live.
they actually recognize human beings and animals
Yes,
and so on and
yes,
so forth. Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
So
Absolutely.
this back to what I was saying about happiness, that's what it was talking about because it said, why would you ask about having a moral obligation to present a certain kind of positive and happy self for the benefit of others around you? Well, it's because my level of happiness is going to affect everyone around me anyway. Now, how much do I want to affect that? And what am I willing to do to affect that? There are plenty of things I'm not going to do to make you happy, you know, but I have to be clear with myself what that is. What's that? What are those boundaries? And set them up, be aware of them. Because there are
Hmm.
plenty of boundaries you have up and you're not even thought about,
Right.
you know. So I want to be aware of the boundaries I'm working with and go from there. But it's a working on myself is the most loving thing I can do.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what can I say?
Joy and happiness. That's our aim. That's our goal. Yeah. Want to
Joy.
shout out to Gail. Gail has hopped on.
Hello,
Uh,
Gail.
Carol said ethics.
Yes. But that too is individually defined.
It
We
is.
all have to decide what our ethics are. It's not cool to wait until an ethical drama comes up to have to suddenly think on your feet and figure out if you how you feel about it and what you're willing to do. You've got to think some of this stuff out first and say, well, if this ever happens, I think I would do so and so. I think I would want to accomplish blah blah blah. And therefore you have some idea of what your boundaries are. What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do?
Hmm.
You know, it's know thyself.
Yeah. Yes. We have to make those hard choices
Put the work
throughout our
in.
lives. Hmm.
Put the work in to
Yeah.
know yourself. Um, that leads into some other stuff, but we'll talk about that out later on. Three different things came. I have three sets of notes here.
Okay. Well, I want you to go through your notes and we'll just keep going.
Okay, you have to remind me. The next part is about the hierarchy of things in the universe.
Oh, we kind of talked about that already.
Sort of, yeah, yeah. Continuing on a theme, yeah. We'll get back to it, but it's uh, it's a strange time right now for me personally, but also for the world and also for the universe. I mean, I'm seeing the things I've been talking about being the reactive part of life, all the things that are going on where certain energies are beaming at us, and then we can decide how we're going to react to it and so forth. But that's happening on so many levels at once. We're used to having a little bit of family drama. You might have had to talk to your boss about something. You all of a sudden had to chastise your child, or, there are different areas of drama that will come up. But this is amazing. This is all the personal stuff of the many kinds that can come up, areas of your life, and then all the public stuff, and then all the entertainment stuff, and all of the government stuff, and so forth and so on. On every level, right now, there's a shakeup.
Mm, there is.
And it's not going there yet. So, you know, it's not hit and go. It's I hit you and I stop and take a look at what I did. Now, what you gonna do about that? Yes, I hit you. I knocked the hell out of you. Now what? Oh, I have never had it happen that way before. That's what's happening.
Mm.
And it's blowing my mind. Can
Well,
you tell?
and we really do have to find a way to turn anything that is a negative, a slap, into a positive. And some of them are going to be harder than others.
What we have to turn, though, is not the thing. We have to turn us. Because the thing didn't come in with either vibe.
Right, our thinking about it, our perception of it. Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
had no vibe when it
Hmm.
came up. And it's like everybody who has this karma contract reacts this way to it. Okay, all the rest of you who had a different contract, you don't have to pay any attention to this at all. It's like, so it separates who's susceptible and who's not. And the idea is to learn enough wisdom that you can kind of tell ahead of time which group you're in so that you know how to act.
Yeah,
That's what we're doing.
yeah.
We're teaching ourselves to understand what's going on. And again, I say, know thyself.
Exactly. And go back to what you've been saying all year is so what?
So what?
So
Yeah,
what?
that's the hard one, though. Honestly, I
It
say
is,
it.
especially if it's personal. You get slapped
Yeah,
and
say
like,
it,
so what is
but
hard?
it gets to, it takes a while to get to the point where you can say that.
Hmm.
There are times when I've been contemplating the wisdom of that once it's come up and so forth. And parts of dealing with it were really understanding how far can the drama go and I can still maintain that attitude of So what? It's all about how much awareness of your own eternal nature you can take in. Because the more comfortable you are with the eternal nature of your soul, then the easier it is to say, so what? If you don't know about reincarnation, you
Mhm.
can't say, so what? If you
Mhm.
don't know there's a God, if you don't know there are angels, if you don't know there's help,
Yeah,
then it's real hard to say, so what? You're like, well,
it
I've
is. Yeah,
got to protect this and I've got to take care of that. How dare you do so?
right, right.
No.
Right. For those that think that this is a one-time shot and when you're gone forever and there's nothing else,
There's no such thing for
it's probably hardest for those people.
exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. There's really no such thing as gone forever.
Well, I don't think so. And even before I understood reincarnation, like I'd heard the word, but I didn't really think about it in relation to me. I always believed that there was something after this, call it heaven, call it whatever. My thought process was after we died, we went somewhere else and stayed there for eternity. Now I know this is like a playground. It's like, okay, what can I do next? And where am I going to go? And how am I going to do this? And am I going to be a man? Am I going to be a woman? Am I
That's
going to be born and then, die in that first year? What do I want to experience?
but that's what we've been socialized to think.
Yeah.
When you walk past the cemetery, you should be very, very reverent and you must do this and you must do that. And I mean that's where the souls are. And no, it's not.
Oh my God.
No.
You just made me think about when we would go drive past a cemetery, they would have to hold their breath so they didn't breathe in a spirit.
No.
They did. And they're like, don't go by big cemeteries. It's hard.
I had a rude awakening once about that. Am a minister's kid and a minister's sister and a minister's granddaughter. Okay, so get the picture. It's been really pounded in there, all of that stuff.
Hmm.
And I went to New York. When I moved to New York, I found out when we'd all go out to lunch of an afternoon, among all the office work, the fad was to go to the Trinity Cemetery and sit there among the stones and have your lunch. And I was like, you do what? You're sitting among the tombstones to eat? I couldn't fathom it. But then I started into my studies and this and that and learning, the occult. And I started to understand there's a certain vibration there. It's not the souls of the people who are in the ground, were put in the ground and so forth. It's not that because they're not there. But there is a very powerful force in the world, and it's called reverence. And anything we find that helps us create that, we actually revere it. That's why it's called reverence. It's the thing that you feel is worthy of your very, very positive consideration. It's what we hold when we talk about God, when we talk about all that is, and we speak of the angels, and we have all these ways that we can create a sense of reverence. We're taught to have that for our parents, for the churches, for the ministers, and blah, blah, blah. But that's what was there in that cemetery. And many others I have now learned to go, be there and so forth.
Mhm.
Like tourists who come over here to Europe and they like to go visit all the big cathedrals. And they like to be outside among the tombstones of the great and the kings that were buried and the da 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 da.
Mhm.
There is definitely a vibration there that resonates with whatever sense of reverence you have. The more sense of it you have, the more strongly you'll feel that it's there.
Mhm.
But I think it's probably because it's such uh, a place of collecting um, reminders of eternalness.
Yeah. And
The
it's a
mind is
place
just,
where people gather with love,
yes, exactly.
and that love stays there. It doesn't just float away.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's true of everywhere we go. Whatever we're feeling, we've just invested that into that space,
Yeah.
which is another thing about what obligation do you have to spread your happiness and your joy and share the positive part of you.
hmm
I've heard it said very often lately that you have to really be yourself. Drop the bull and really be yourself. Be true to how you want to react to something because the people in your life deserve to see who you really are.
Yes. Yes.
They're reacting to whatever you're showing them, but the parts you've hidden, they don't even get to know that's in there.
And believe people when they tell you who
Yeah.
they are. Like
Yes.
so often we don't believe them. We think,
No.
oh, they're just putting on a show or they're this or they're that. No, believe them. They're telling you the truth.
And also don't judge whatever it is they decided to show you.
Yeah.
Why didn't you let me know you because of your reaction that you're showing me right now?
hmm Yeah.
You know, I didn't feel comfortable letting you see that part of me.
Right, right. Carol says she loves cemeteries.
Oh, yes.
When
Okay.
we visited Savannah, we visited a beautiful old cemetery, and we both learned things. There was a tour guide, and we weren't on the tour, but she's like, "Oh, come and listen." So they were just so nice down there.
There are some very beautiful cemeteries down south for
hmm
various reasons, but one being the fact that the occult is very alive and well
It
on that side
certainly
of
is in
94,
Savannah.
especially Savannah,
It very much
especially
so.
Charleston, especially Atlanta. Okay,
Ah,
there are, oh yeah, there are centers of extreme religious participation on of various kinds. So I mean, there's so much of that going on that no one even knows about or sees, unless you're a part of a certain group or whatnot. You wouldn't even know they were meeting and doing whatever they're doing
mhm.
because
I'm
they've
going
got
to visit Florida this year, and I think I would really like to go visit Casadega.
to take it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Spend a
it's a
day.
very interesting thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have not been, but I have known so many people who did go
Mm-hmm.
and have come back and shown me the pictures and told me all about what they went through and so forth and so on. And I knew a couple of people who actually lived and practiced there,
Oh,
their
okay.
particular cult thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Well,
a very interesting
yeah,
place. And you've got to make sure you see Coral Castle. Yeah.
Coral Castle. I'll remember that.
Okay. A guy in his solitude built a very convoluted landscape. He built a house that was a castle and a whole landscape of different unusual types. And no one can understand how he moved the stone. He said that he learned how they moved the stones in Egypt, but he
Ooh,
never told anyone what he learned. And
wow.
they've not been able to duplicate what he did there.
And I presume he has passed away since?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
He never told anybody how he did it.
hmm.
It's
Interesting.
quite interesting.
Well, we'll just have to manifest the book.
Mm, yes, I think he did write a book, but
Yeah.
he didn't put the
But he
secret.
didn't put the formula in there. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's how a lot of things were lost to humanity.
Yes.
People
Yes.
just didn't write things down, or they didn't feel it important to pass it along, or there wasn't youth that thought it was important to listen.
Yes. That's another big problem that's
Yeah,
on the horizon right now.
yeah. Yeah,
It's very
I heard that's a problem, especially with the Aborigines, that
exactly.
the young people do not want to carry on those traditions.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's amazing out there because
Wow.
it's all getting mixed. All these timelines, little pockets of people living in a certain way, are now able to contact each other, know about each other. The internet and all that has changed everything
It
about who
it
we can
really
touch,
it has. Yeah, it
who we
really
can
has.
see.
Yeah. So what else do you have on your notes? I don't want to miss any of them.
Okay. Um, Another one is, what level is your level of magic? How well and how much do you use the tiny gems of pure human magic during your day?
Ooh, interesting. Wow. That's and is it consistent every day?
Yeah, well, it wouldn't be.
No,
It
it's
would
not.
fluctuate like everything does.
Hmm.
But I think what this gets into is we say the word magic and we tend to pigeonhole it into the occult, new age, blah, blah, blah. But magic is happening all day, every day in little ways. Some of them we don't notice,
Hmm.
and a lot of them we simply don't realize are as magical as they are. But there's magic going on all day around you. And this is saying for each item that is different from being the way you want it to be, then you have an opportunity to elevate your resonance to a higher tone, a higher part of all that you can be.
Interesting.
Okay.
Nice.
So these are the things I've been thinking on for the last 2 days. And it went on to say, I'm still, getting through all of that.
Hmm.
Okay, this part about the hierarchy of things in the universe. And it starts out everything, underscored, all caps, everything exists inside of an enigmatic hierarchy. No matter where you are while you're living and functioning, you can look up or down and find more layers of any system that you're in. So this is about that hierarchy. Now we were talking earlier about all that is and the soul rather, and
Hmm.
how it puts down on all these other little puppet people that it's looking out for. All our other uh, counterparts and alternatives and probable selves, etc.
Hmm.
All that is where that higher self can access it. It's up above all of that, and making sure it goes well, etc., etc. But the main thing of this is, I don't care how high up you are, there's always something above that.
Yes.
And you can take that in any way you like.
And always something below as well. Yeah.
And anything you see, no matter where you are, you can look down and see another version of the reality you know. It will have organization, it will have different identities within it. Each of those will have drama. Your cells have a life just like you do. They make alliances, they communicate, they have a purpose, etc. And they belong to an organization.
Hmm.
Every cell is part of another organ. It's either a muscle or a heart valve or a brain or whatever. But you've got all these different systems: circulatory, respiratory, etc., eliminatory, whatever.
Hmm.
And every one of those systems has another thing that it's part of. So you've got the cells being part of a certain organ, but that organ is a part of a certain system in your body. And that system is helping to run this body. And this body is how we're projecting ourselves into this reality. You see, so everything, and you can go down below cells, and now you're looking at the makings of the cell, and they all have parts too.
Hmm.
You see, when I was a child in school, the very first thing they said in that first science class I took was that everything in existence has a purpose and a hierarchy, and it was only speaking in a scientific sense,
Hmm.
you know, but as I got older and learned and lived and so forth, I'm understanding now that that's so profoundly true. The first thing they told us was an atom is the smallest unit in existence. Well, those were the late 50s, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And my God, do they know more than that now? My God, an atom is,
Yeah.
it has at least 5, 6, 7, 10 layers below that we know about now. We
Right.
know about protons and electrons and, I mean, protons and electrons and so forth, all of that. You know, the atom had a nucleus, and that nucleus had other things inside it, and so forth and so on. And what was each one of those made out of? Well, you're going to examine and talk about the different minerals and the this and the that. Everything has a layer of discovery.
Mm-hmm.
And we go along in our existence cultivating new levels of discovery as we learn more about our world and about ourselves and so forth. So it's all about the hierarchy. And then lastly, it says,
Wait. Carol has a question.
oh, okay, okay.
She's asking, so joy is related to openness to magic? Yeah.
It's the fuel.
So another word for magic is miracles.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and I would say definitely joy is related to the openness that miracles happen, that magic happens.
Joy is the fuel that allows them to happen. Okay? Joy and love and God and good are all the same resonant
Hmm.
quality. So, in order to make magic run, I tell you why it's dangerous to do negative magic, because you can do either one. If anything you learn about how to create something great to happen, you will also find that you can do that the other direction. We just don't want to do that. We've decided we want to be positive, not negative. But it's not like you're hiding how to be a devil. When you learn how the universe works, you learn how to work it whatever way you want to, you know? So we have to be very aware of what we're creating as we go about making this magic and these miracles and stuff, because they have a resonance
Hmm.
that we're responsible for. If you create it, then you've got to be able to say, oh, well, I did it for this reason or that reason, or, you know, who are you? What are you putting out there and why?
Hmm. Well, that's one reason why whenever I do Reiki, it's always with the intention of the highest and best of that person. And
Yes.
I don't ever determine what their best thing is.
Yes. There's no
I
way to know.
absolutely not. And quite often the person I'm working on doesn't know either. So I always leave it up to their higher
Exactly.
self, which knows more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've come to try and learn more.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
want more understanding and they want more control.
Good question, Carol. Thank you.
Yes, it was excellent.
Yeah.
Absolutely excellent. It's a funny old world, folks. This playground that we're on has some very interesting toys and rides.
Yeah.
And they change as you move from playground to playground.
Oh, I'm seeing all kinds of heart bubbles popping up over there in the
Oh,
chat window. So
well,
I
that's
can't
nice.
I can't tell who's doing them, but I see them all floating up.
That's lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have such a good group.
Yes. I love you all so much. And you'd be pretty surprised if you knew how many times a day that I think of you all.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Although,
do.
yeah, last time we did this, it took me a whole week to be able to process enough for me to edit the video. And that's the longest it's ever taken me. Usually I do it on that same day, but I don't know. What we've been doing has been affecting me so deeply that it's just taking me more and more time. So,
Yeah.
yeah. All
I
right,
can
let's get back to
relate.
your list, Lil.
I can relate. That's really, oh, I'm sorry. No,
There
never
was
mind.
one more thing you had.
Well, it's the rest of the hierarchy thing. And
Uh,
um, it says it's also that this stuff is enigmatic in the hierarchy. The reason I said enigmatic hierarchy is because there's so many little nuances of meaning within that row after row. Is enigmatic because you will only be able to see in a manner that resonates with where you are when you look. You know, you can only see
Mm,
what you're ready to see.
right,
And
right.
depending on where you're starting from, there are only so many things that you'll be able to be exposed to. Now, as you change, as you do the work, as we say, and you
Mm,
change your own resonance to be more positive, then the span of what you can access will widen.
mm-hmm.
And it continues to widen depending on what kind of work you do inside, you know.
Nice.
And believe me, there's loads of work to do. And the last bit of this is, and this hierarchy measures, oh yes, this part I didn't expect, I thought I was through. This hierarchy measures both vertically and horizontally. We've been talking about the up and down of the levels in it, but it goes horizontally as well. When you're on a certain level learning stuff, while you're trying to move up and down within what you can be bigger and more profound and more effective, but it also spreads out sideways. So there may be whatever lesson you decide to work on, that lesson is going to come to you in between 1 to 50 different ways
Mm,
until you see it.
mm-hmm.
The more you see it, the more the other versions of it disappear and drop away.
And therein lies why we keep coming back.
Yes, yes.
True.
You know, I was in that town last week, but I only got to visit 3 places. I saw a church and a restaurant and a whatever, a cemetery, whatever. But the thing is that the next time you go to that town, you have to say, well, I've already seen those. Now I'll look at this and this and this. Let's see
Mm-hmm.
the factory and the residential area and, you know, but that's the horizontal nature of the lesson that you're working on. You know, you might find that someone comes up and says something unkind, but then something else happens that day and you get even more disgusted and something else, oh, I never expected that person to come out that way. But they're just responding to the resonance of what you're on and what you're learning right now. They're facilitating.
That is so fascinating to hear. And especially because we're talking about manifesting and setting intentions for the future. And when we put out a certain vibration, a certain negativity, or just a sadness, that spreads just as well as happiness does.
Yeah.
And people pick up on that, and you get more of whatever you put out around you. So the idea to put out the best no matter what is coming to you, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
the state of the world or aliens coming down, don't think they're gonna, annihilate the world, but think that they're going to teach us a better way,
Right.
so spin a positive in yourself and feel that, or you're gonna get more of the other stuff that you really don't want.
Right. You know, you're going to draw whatever resonance
Hmm.
you're
Hmm.
functioning within.
And that's the hardest work that we have to do here.
It is hard. It
Hmm.
is,
Hard to do it day after day after day.
yeah, it's the diligence that makes it
Hmm.
a killer.
Yeah.
You got to keep it up. You know, I was brilliant 35 years ago on September. You know, that doesn't count anymore.
Yeah.
That was half a century ago. Yeah, but I learned. Yeah, yeah. But what have you learned since? What have you been willing to learn since?
Hmm.
You know, that's why I get so frustrated with people who come out of high school and say, oh, "I'm so glad to be through with school."
Oh, yeah.
I don't think so. You know,
Carol has another question.
yes, ma'am.
We need to put Carol on here so she has a voice.
She's
Uh,
the moderator. And the
yeah.
following questions will be handled by the panel.
Yes. So Carol says, So what is more important, authenticity or spinning a positive?
You have to spin the positive authentically.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Okay. There's
Good
an
answer. Good
authenticity
question, good answer.
there's an authenticity that enhances what you're doing. You know, it makes it go better. Your spin will improve drastically with the level of your authenticity.
And then she says, so sadness.
Yeah, yeah, that's the same thing. You have to authentically allow yourself to be sad. What? Yeah, because it's the reality of what you're feeling right then. So discover what's in it. See, the thing couldn't have happened if there weren't something in it for you. So then don't get so caught up in the that you don't hear the higher self saying, I'm trying to tell you something. Take a measure of this moment because I want to show you something about it. But I can't handle it. But I can't. Will you please shut up long enough to hear what I'm trying to tell you? Take a look at this part of it. But I can't take it. If you couldn't take it, you wouldn't be there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
It can't happen if you can't take it.
Right. We're stronger than we think we
Because you
are.
put it there.
Hmm.
It's once we accept the fact that we're creating the reality that all the rest of what's happening starts to make sense.
More
You
questions.
created it.
More questions. So that's the positive spin, the exploration.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. The exploration
Mhm.
is itself, well, it has the potential within it to be the positive exploration because the opportunity to explore does not come with a charge of positive or negative.
Right.
It's
It's
simply
learning.
opportunity. And you decide to accept the challenge of getting into that opportunity, or you decide to ignore it and go to the next thing that's in your list of contracted experiences. You know, but now the one you didn't do is waiting for you in the other lifetimes that you have. It's the thing you didn't handle. I was once told, boy, I'm getting ready to get slaughtered. Okay, here we go. It was once explained to me, well, what do you mean we decide we're coming here and we're going to do this? How can you explain then that all these babies that die within the first week or the first 6 months or the child is 2 years old? I didn't create for my child to die at 4. Wait a minute. No, you didn't, but they did. Their contract said you will be here X number of months, days, hours, whatever. That's what they contracted. Why? But why would anybody come here just to be here for a day? Maybe it's the only thing they had left to learn. And they don't have to ever come here again. Aren't you jealous? That's all they needed. You mean I forgot that? Oh God, do I have to go back there again? Yeah, but you don't have to stay. Just do this and get that last little awareness, and then you come right back. You promise? Yes, you don't have to stay. And
Oh,
there
you
it
are
is.
opening up a can of worms.
I know.
You
And
are.
they
You
all
are.
want to
And
bite.
that is a hot topic.
It
Uh,
is.
and it's a hard topic.
And
It
it
is.
took me decades to be able to swallow that comfortably.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
Kept sticking
Especially
in my craw.
when you lose someone very young and I know that you have. And it is difficult. Very
Yes.
difficult. Carol
But the
said,
thing is, you've got to, once you know that you created the reality for a reason,
hmm
so did they.
right.
They just had this one thing they needed to know, or two things, or whatever. There was something about being in vitro that they had neglected to understand, or what have
Mhm.
you. And once they experienced that and got the goodie out of it, they didn't need to hang around and go through a whole bunch of drama.
hmm Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you wouldn't want to be forced to be here and go through a whole bunch of, you wouldn't have to be forced to go to college if all you needed was first grade.
Yeah.
You know,
Carol said thank you, and she will stop now.
you're so welcome, honey. You can ask anything anytime
Absolutely. Yes.
because it is my distinct pleasure to, on occasion, say, I don't know.
Yeah. Carol tends to, she's a deep thinker and she comes up with some doozies of questions and conversations. And I love speaking with her.
I
Yeah.
break for doozies.
Oh gosh. So what's so so I don't even want to ask about astrology. So I know that we're not in retrograde, but more than Mercury is in retrograde. And we've now moved into Sagittarius, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, very definitely. And that hits me too.
Yeah.
It's the tail end of all that Scorpio stuff I had. It
Mhm.
ends on Sagittarius.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the first few days, I'm still resonating to that.
And we're coming up to a lot of change happening in the next year, in the next month, lots of change.
Yeah.
But it's up to us to react to that change in the best way we know how. Right. That, yeah, don't go off on the deep end. That's what I did, like year and a half ago. And I was in a really bad place for that when
Okay.
the war first started, and I took it very personally, and I went into depression, and I just couldn't understand, and it took me a long time to understand that I came here, I'm seeing, but I am not experiencing directly, so why am I putting myself there?
Exactly.
And that was a lesson that I had to learn. I don't know how many other people need to, get that sort of thing that we chose to be in a certain place at a certain time. And what a beautiful time. I mean, things are changing and technology is moving so fast. And, I've been looking at this AI stuff, and, some people are very against it. And I've actually been looking at some of the AI and how it creates artwork, and to use it for good and to, for happiness and joy. I don't want to think about the bad. So I'm just beep.
Well, I heard it explained recently that as long as we handle AI with a certain amount of um, wisdom, being involved, being wise enough to never just throw your hands up and say, "Here, go do that. You can do whatever you want."
Right, right. Hmm.
It's something that we're supposed to be aware of when we use it. We are programming it to be a certain way. The question comes though as to whether AI can be allowed to make its own decisions and so forth. It will acquire consciousness eventually. And we're so scared to have it have any consciousness or be alive in any way. But the thing is, if it's only a machine that you say, do this, do this, do this, even if it becomes aware and you're still saying only do this, 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 and this, you have actually created a slave.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking.
You
Yep.
see?
Hmm.
So there are a lot of moral questions about how we go into this, but it's no more of a problem than having created man.
And it is happening. I mean, there is no stopping it.
We have consciousness, but we are machines that have consciousness.
Yes.
And how's that working out for us? Okay. We're busy trying to learn to be better at expressing an agenda, which is what you create a program to do. It's told to do a certain thing. This is how I want you to go about it. Now, click the button and do it.
Hmm.
Well, that's what we're doing. We wanted to come here and we agreed to learn certain things by being here, experiencing it, and then we're going to go back and join. home. We're going home to where we're actually broadcasting from. We are the little AI, the version of AI that's on the earth right now. Guess what? It's us. But
I
we have
never
this.
never thought of it like that, but you're right. You are so right. Huh, interesting. So where do we go from here? We have a lot of intentions to set.
We're going straight to the lab.
Oh, oh boy, Mickey is so ready. We're not going
We're
to go to
going
the lab
straight to
though.
the lab.
I have a surprise for everybody. So
Thank you.
because this is the last new moon, and I think they call this one a dark moon or a black moon, or there's something because it's the second one in 1 month. And
Mhm.
I never knew about that. I thought there was really could only be one in a month, but there was one on the first, and
No,
there's
no,
one. So the actual new moon is tomorrow, the 30th. Yes.
there is no rule in reality that doesn't have a reason to be broken.
Now, I just want to look at and give everybody the actual time. So tomorrow it is at 4:26 p.m. New York time.
Okay.
Uh, yeah,
And it's 9 here.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
So we are about 24 hours ahead of it. So plenty of time to set those intentions. And this journey that we're going to take is going to be about setting the intention that you want to see in the future.
Here, here.
So we're going to go to the future.
That's a good one.
I love this one.
Whoa!
I know. I know. So start thinking about that. What do you want your future to look like? What do you want to be doing in your future? How do you want to create your future reality? And
Yeah.
and that is the way we're going to set this in. Okay. So now that we are all very comfortable, I would like for you to close your eyes. And we are going to use the 3 to 1 count. You will take a deep breath, and on the exhale, you will say mentally to yourself and see the numbers as I repeat them. Ready? Inhale. 3, 3, 3. 2, 2, 2. 1, 1, 1. We are now in a deeper, more relaxed state of mind. With every breath that you take, you go deeper and deeper. Relax your eyes. Relax your lips and your jaw. Relax your head and your neck. Relax your body. Relax your arms and hands. Relax your legs and feet. It is a wonderful feeling to be completely relaxed. And you are relaxed now. Now repeat mentally with me. My body rests and refreshes itself when I consciously relax. I'm relaxed now. Every day, I improve my image of myself. My self-esteem. I am a unique human being. There is no one else on earth exactly like me. Each day I grow stronger in the realization that I can. I can think. I can create. I can do. I am in control of my attitude. I am in control of my reality. Relax. All reality begins in your mind with your thoughts and imagination. The energy and vibration of a positive, loving reality generates relaxed, satisfied vibrations and energies within you. These energies and vibrations help you with all of your activities. Imagination is a great tool, a great frequency setter. Your imagination can help you. You are learning to use your great imagination to help you achieve whatever it is that you have a desire to achieve. Relax. Now, I want you to think about what it is you want to create. You see it as already accomplished. It is already done. You see it in detail. Now, we are going into the future and see what the results are. So I want you to see yourself at the bottom of a long, tall staircase. It has big, wide marble steps. Now, walk up the steps towards the top level. We are walking up the steps of the big, wide marble staircase. And we come to a platform at the top of the steps. At the top of the platform, there are 3 doors. There are numbers on these doors. The door to your left has a 1 on it, and this means 1 year into the future. The door directly in front of you has a 3 on it. This means 3 years into the future. The door on your right has a 5 on it. This means 5 years into the future. Choose the door you want to open. Open that door. And as you open the door, you will see a dense fog in front of you. And I want you to move through that fog. And as you walk through the fog, it will start to dissipate and fade until you are able to come out on the other side of the fog. Look around you and see where you are. This will be your surroundings in the year that you picked. Where are you? What does it look like? Trust it. See it in detail. Now see yourself doing whatever it is you will be doing at that time. What is your job? What is your occupation? See yourself doing it now. Now switch scenes and see where you are living. What kind of place does that look like? Where are you living? See it in detail. Is anyone living there with you? If there are, see them, and you will recognize them. Now leave that scene. We are now going to move forward to an important day in this future time, to an important day when something is happening that you consider to be important. We are there now. What is happening? What do you see? All right. Now we can leave that scene and bring your focus back into this room, remembering what you have seen so you can recall and write it down. Coming back into this room, into this body. You are aware there are people present during this transmission. You are beginning to wake up now, and you can open your eyes and join us. I want to thank all of you who are joining us and who participate in these journeys. And I will see you back on our transmission. So going into the future and seeing what we have created in our minds and our thoughts. And if anyone would like to share what they experienced, what they saw, feel free to put it in the comments. And I'd like to invite Nikki to join us when your eyes are open. How does everybody feel? I know that was a little bit shorter than most that I've done. Sandy, hello. Sandy says she's happy. I love that. So you created a happy future. Tell me, Sandy, did you go 1, 3, or 5 years ahead? Audrey, feeling great. Thank you, Audrey. I'm so happy. And again, hop in here. Tell us how far in the future you went. How about you, Mickey?
I'm coming up with something weird. I went a long way.
Oh. Ooh, Carol said she feels encouraged.
I do. I went a very long way after this life. And I don't know how many more ahead it was, but it was very nice. I felt good about all I had learned as a soul so far, and saw that it would be from a very different viewpoint at that point after going that far. Then I was not experiencing things in the same way. I had a whole different modus operandi. Whoever that was works differently,
Ah,
and they don't have very many negative concepts at all in their existence.
beautiful. Oh, I want to
So,
live there.
yeah, I was in shock. When it was very strange. I opened my eyes. I don't remember hearing you bring us out or back or nothing. I just simply opened my eyes and heard you say, and I'm going to invite Mickey to, and I thought, invite me to do what? Go back to the meditation. What are you doing? I had no idea it was over. I was like, what? What are you doing?
Hmm. It's interesting how when you go into these journeys, you don't really hear what I say, yet you follow the directions just fine.
Yeah,
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 yeah, it is interesting. Now, Sandy said she chose 1 year ahead, but the scene was such that she thinks it was 3 or 5.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Interesting. And you know what, Sandy? I feel with everything inside me that everything is moving so fast that what seems to be 1 year to us is really 5 years
Hmm.
or 10, or as Mickey went, who knows how far.
Centuries ahead I went.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was a
Well, isn't
million.
it nice to know that you were there?
Yes, but it was
And
a I had never even anticipated. I was so shocked to be there feeling anything. I'm like, really? I'm me still? I'm
yeah.
aware still?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
So yeah, you don't lose your awareness of who you are. You just keep rising.
True.
That blows my mind. It just,
Now, I really don't know how long that meditation was. I mean, when I pull it out of the whole thing and I edit it, I'll figure it out. But it's 3 o'clock already. It's 2:58 here.
okay.
So we've been on for an hour and a half.
That seems so short.
It does. It does. It goes by so fast. Yeah.
There's a
And this
point when I can hear you, and then after that, I don't know anything auditory until I somehow pop back out.
yeah. But you popped out at the right time.
Yeah. So some part of me is listening and knows
Yes.
what to do.
Yes. The main part is that the remembering what you experienced, what you saw, that you can write it down and journal it. And more may come. And these kind of journeys open you up for several days. So I'll just tell everyone this was a journey that was half Bert Goldman's and half Dolores Cannon's. And I
Mhm.
kind of put them together, and I just thought I did it myself, and I just thought it was so beautiful. And then I did it, it was the Dolores Cannon version. And then I added some of Bert's, going down deeper, and his positive affirmations about, what I am and that I can create. I love those pieces. Yeah. Yeah.
I was gone. It was good, and I was gone.
Well, I love that.
Story of my life.
My happiest moments are when my hypnosis or meditation people are gone. Because then I know I did my
Those
job. I did okay.
those are such memorable events when we go into the lab and we're there. And the best part is when you lose track of what you're hearing out here audibly,
Mhm,
because you're busy off doing, you went where you're supposed to go and you are busy.
mhm. So honestly, I have never done one where I didn't go down into the heart space first. Like this one was just going up, but
Mhm.
felt it felt when I did it, it felt so right and so
It did.
significant.
And
Mhm.
I do remember making note of that because I was anticipating it. And then, just said, listen, go on with it, whatever it was. And I was gone. I was just delightfully gone. And as you know, I have been going through a dark night of the soul for the last 2 weeks. And that was a relief. That was lovely. Drama free, pain free. Oh, honey.
Oh, good.
God, did I need that?
Oh, good, good.
I was lovely.
Yesterday it came across my feed and I needed it too. I understand and I was so I follow the urges that when something so moving to me comes across that I know I need to share that with you guys.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah.
Well, that part about happiness that we were talking about in the beginning was instigated by uh, an interview I was listening to where this guy named Daniel Amen, as in Amen at the
Hmm.
end of prayer, his name was Daniel Amen. And he was on a show that I have come to be very, very hooked on. It's called Diary of a CEO.
Oh.
And it streams on YouTube and Instagram and all the usual places, but I
Hmm.
usually prefer to watch it on YouTube. I watch Alex on Next Level Soul, and I watch Bashar, and then I invariably go to Diary of a CEO, and I finish with Roland Martin, who is the most irreverent and delightfully irreverent so and so, SOB. he's, he's a black journalist who really, I have an aunt that we all love and she was a bit of a trip. She would say stuff right out. In fact, she'd say, "I don't tell it like it is. I tell it like it damn are." You know? And that reminds me of her because she was very cantankerous and she would just tell it like it is. She had this way, but everyone loved her. It wasn't negative stuff. She was just very, very brusque and overt.
Hmm.
so, so I listened to Roland Martin in that same spirit because he's a journalist who is very popular in the Black community because he pulls no punches.
Hmm.
Okay. And it's a great way to bring me back into more social awareness
Hmm.
after I've done all these very high-minded things with Alex and with Bashar, and I've listened to what the extraterrestrials have to say and the channels and the blah blah blah, and then and then you end with Roland Martin and Don Lemon.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I know him.
Yeah, they take the events of the day and put it in now let me tell you about what happened
Yeah.
today. And I
Nice.
work with that. It brings me right back to current reality and okay, so that's what's going on. All right,
Hmm.
fine. That's all I needed to know about it. And then I leave it out of my life.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get it. Mm.
But it's been interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's been an interesting fall period,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's been a period that has been loaded with grief.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
has been in my family, there was two very unexpected deaths.
Mm,
And I know that many that are on here deal with grief of one thing or another in their own way and in their own time. Um, there is no set limit of time for grief. It's there until you're okay. And it could take years, but we deal with it. Um,
well, it's stuff you're learning, a new context, or should I say, it's a new level of resonance. I learned that it is a lot more than people think it is. It's a lot more about life than it is about death. It's still grief, but it forces you to learn some things about how you feel about life and death. I
mhm.
mean, you are forced to, okay, now you're going to really face it and look at it and you're going to examine it and you're going to think about it and you're going to have to come to some conclusions. This part of life that I'm in is rich with all kinds of different things to go through. People think of this stage of like, okay, now you're getting ready to leave here and you're not involved. No, we're very involved over 70, okay, over 75, because we got a lot of stuff to do to get ready to go
Mhm.
back home. And I got lots of things I want to do. I have to figure out what I want to take with me emotionally, spiritually, etc. You have to
Mhm.
be back what you think you might forget to take,
Mhm.
but you learn some very different ways of looking at things. And
Mhm.
it's not like you learn it and then stop and then the grief is over. No, grief is a new way of living.
Right. It's a sine wave. I mean, there's its ups and its downs, and sometimes you feel totally
But
normal,
it's
and
new
then other
vibration.
times you can't get out of bed.
It's good and bad, but it's a whole new
Mhm.
resonance.
And it's really not about the person that has passed. And especially how we think now that we know that they've gone on to, the next level. For us, it is just the loss, the missing, the change in our life,
You
for
just
good
can't
or
get
bad. And that changes daily as well, sometimes
Yes,
minute
it
by
does.
minute.
It is. It is. And depending on how open you are to interdimensional reality, then you will begin to have an enormous additional number of experiences that are new age and occult. There are levels of having stuff happen that I had no idea about. And you can attest to that. We've had some very weird stuff happen.
We have, and
People appearing out of nowhere.
I want to interject a little bit because Audrey has to go. So she said
Okay.
her niece is calling and she said, Happy New Year to everybody. We love you,
Oh,
Audrey. Thank you for being here. I hope you had a lovely Christmas and I wish you the best in the new year.
yes, ma'am. We love you, Audrey. You know we do.
Yeah.
So, Happy New Year to come. Yeah,
I don't know that she's left yet or not, but she'll hear this.
it's still here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, so I mean, we do the best that we can and we get through it day by day, and we're here to support each other, especially in this little group. And it's a small group. I mean, we maybe have 12 to 15 people that join live, but then we have maybe a hundred or 200 that view it on YouTube later on, or however they're going to view it. And we're here for support. We keep doing those. This is our second year. We're going to go on 3 years. I think we started this in February because I did the first one. It was right after I came home from Egypt. And I did
Oh,
it on Marco Governalities because I was afraid to do it on my own. I
okay.
did it on Marco's to test it out. And then I said, Mickey,
I
would you
forgot
do
that.
this with me? And we started in February.
Mhm.
And
I
we have been
forgot
doing it twice a month or thereabouts whenever the full or new moon happens,
that.
ever since. So
Wow.
going on 3 years. It's really been nice.
It's a
And
draw.
they're all still up. You can watch all of them, and except for the first one, you have to go over to Marco's site to look at that one.
Well, it's very interesting because of something we were talking about the other day. I went back to go looked at an old one, and it was such a shock to me to see how different it was, the tone of it, and the how I sounded, and how where I was coming from. And I thought, whoa, we've come a long way from there.
So that one was 4 years ago. That was when
Okay,
we were doing
whoa,
Seth Talk. But this tree is the same tree that was in the background of that one.
okay.
Yep.
That is really wonderful. We've come a
And
long way.
and actually this is the same room too. We were in this room
Yeah,
in that
right,
in that one. And
right,
it was you and I, Audrey, Martin, and
Martin.
Jeff,
Yeah,
right? Is
yeah,
that right? Yeah.
yeah.
Um, It was a really good group of people, and I love my group now, and I want to thank everybody for being here for the past 2 years. You know, Sandy, Carol, Audrey, Martin, and there's lots more, Susan and Gail, and I'm trying to think of other people that are constants. We appreciate you all so much adding your positive energy to what we do, and that's why we keep doing it.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
I love you all.
We feel the same.
Nikki, I love you.
You too, Kay. And we really genuinely are grateful for the opportunity to make this connection because this connection will go on forever. There's no way to change it or stop it. It's
Yes.
anytime you come back to it, it's going to be the same. We're there. We're talking
Mhm.
the same thing.
Yep.
And that signal is going out into reality. So it's happening again and again and again with every time you play it.
Yeah.
It creates a new vibration.
Yeah.
You know, it can be less or more than what it was the first time you saw it, but it will never be the same.
Mhm.
And the broadcast is the same, but the reaction that you get will always be slightly different because you are no longer the same person you were.
Exactly. Love you too, Carol.
Yes,
She,
Carol.
she put up a big heart.
Sister and all kinds of folks. Yes.
I know, I know. And I am wishing everybody that they have a very healthy, safe new year. Enjoy yourself, but do keep yourself safe, whether you're on the road or traveling or visiting. Just enjoy yourself and be happy. Enjoy
Yes.
us.
Yes. This is
Mickey,
we're sliding into a great year.
I shall see you in 2025.
We're here.
Actually, Mickey, I'll see you before that. But
Yes, you
but right
will.
here on this channel, we'll be back in 2025. When will we be back? So next will be full moon, and that will be, I don't even know when it is. Oh my gosh, did I not even put it in? Well, I'll have to look all that up. I don't know when the full moon is. I did not put it in my calendar.
Well, it's going to be like 13th or 14th of
Yeah.
January.
Yeah. So
Sometime.
I will definitely do that and put it up as soon as I can so everybody knows ahead of time instead of 3 days before like I've been doing.
We are headed into some very interesting times. So let the games begin because here we go.
Well, keep a smile and look to the positive side. I love you all. Bye bye.
Take care, everybody. Bye bye. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.